that have the gene completely knocked out.
Over $30 billion has been spent by the federal government here in the U.S. in their efforts to bring in roughly 9 million illegal aliens into the country during President Joe Biden's reign. Most of this was spent at the southern border, and all of this is deeply outrageous. Yesterday, Elon Musk, who leads the White House's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, spoke about this atrocity, saying the real reason so many Democrats are upset about entitlements, Social Security, medical, etc., fraud investigations, is that they are using your taxpayer money as handouts to attract and retain illegal immigrants, or illegal aliens. Let me fix that for you, Musk. They're future voters. That's what it's all about, and truth. Now, indeed, during President Biden's administration, there had been a massive increase in illegal immigration into the United States, particularly through the southern border. And now, thanks to DOGE, we know just how much money they spent to help facilitate the flooding of our border. This southern border mass migration, by the way, was in addition to the existing legal immigration channels, which typically brings in about 1 million immigrants into the U.S. annually. I mean, you have programs like the H-1B, the J-1, the TN, the H-2B, and the H-2A, which facilitate roughly 1 million contract workers into the U.S. each year. And why all of this matters so much is that currently the United States is experiencing a decline in our birth rates among our citizens. For example, in 2024, U.S. citizens gave birth to approximately 3.5 million children, while all the illegal aliens infesting the country gave birth to another estimated 400,000 babies, who as of right now, according to the way the law is interpreted, will automatically receive U.S. citizenship. This is unsustainable. And yet, despite all of this, the Democrat Party continues to lie and deny, using government funding to alter national demographics and politics. Oh no, they would never do something like that. Don't believe the lies. But it is patently obvious that this is what they are doing. In 2024, there was a Senate hearing where Biden's border chief Alejandro Mayorkas, who said that the notion that we intend to allow illegal immigration is nothing but preposterous. And yet in the same breath had the audacity to say that he wanted equity between non-citizens and Americans, and that his border policy was all about achieving equity, which really is the core founding principle of our country. The Democrat Party has gone all in on using illegal aliens as their future. There was a never-ending thirst for increased migration into the country when they had the power. Most of the time, this was prioritized over policies that would directly benefit American citizens in areas such as wages, housing, and then family formation, which the illegal alien infestation does nothing but lower wages and make housing more scarce, meaning more expensive, which makes it harder for people to have families. This was the brave new world that the Democrat Party was going to force upon everyone, which is one of the reasons why they lost the election in 2024. And the Democrat Party's panic now is growing as the Trump team continues to gain momentum. There is a constant faux outrage and fear-mongering over DOGE accessing the government payment systems. They are desperate that there not be a light shed on the massive, overwhelming corruption, bloat, and fraud that has become our federal government. This is an interesting article from the New York Post, pontificating or discussing this. They write, wrong way to win back vote. Ludicrous denials of government fraud and other commentary. This is an opinion piece. They write, liberals, wrong way to win back voters. Democrats' unconstitutional defense of government bureaucracies does not appear to be a promising route to recapture the voters they are losing, warned Roy Sierra at the Liberal Patriot. Well, that is a mouthful. He said, take their defense of USAID. Most Americans know very little about the USAID. And foreign aid, which it administers, is one of the least popular parts of the federal budget. Yeah, we're throwing away huge amounts of money overseas in ways that does not benefit the American people. Anyway, this liberal patriot guy goes on to say that Democrats are blanket defending this obscure institution in an anti-institution era. Voters overwhelmingly believe the U.S. economy and political system needs major changes at the very least. Well, that is an understatement. And he goes on to say, nor are Dems offering any hint of what they would preserve and what they would get rid of. It's just a blanket defense and deny by the Democrat Party. He says Dems need to show some common sense in what they spend their political capital on. As Rahm Emanuel puts it, don't swing at every pitch. They could learn a lesson there. Now the New York Post goes on to write that the media spin masters are gaslighting the public by proclaiming that government fraud is a mirage, a pretext for Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to bulldoze private program. This according to the Wall Street Journal's Alicia Finley. Last week, for example, the New York Times reported that Musk offered no evidence for his sweeping claims of fraud. And after the White House pushed back against the piece, then Washington press corps circled the wagons. Indeed, Washington Post reporter Aaron Blake raced to debunk Musk's fraud claims, except that in his piece, Blake dismissed a 2024 Government Accountability Office report that projected $233 billion to $521 billion in federal fraud each year, which is unbelievably huge. Every time I hear about this stuff, I think of the Democrat Party and Pocahontas, or perhaps the more widely known Bernie Sanders, who is completely or rather government with their hundreds of billions of dollars of waste. Anyway, by dismissing and playing down what Americans can see with their own eyes, the press is giving Americans more reason to distrust it. Now, what is so insane to me about this defense of government fraud and waste is how just easily exposed and obvious the lie is. The Democrat Party can't even pretend that this isn't happening. I mean, they're doing it, but no one believes it, which only further reinforces in the public's mind that the Democrat Party themselves are utterly corrupt and inept. They're stupid, they're dumb, and they're corrupt. The only thing that this defense of government waste has done is further degrade and destroy the Democrat brand. It's already at its lowest that it has ever been in modern times. I covered this recently in an episode where a Quinnipiac University poll released in late January showed that only 31% of voters even have a favorable opinion of the Democrat Party, while 57% of voters have an unfavorable opinion of the party. This is the highest unfavorable rating for the party since Quinnipiac even began tracking the sentiment back in 2008. And the Republican Party at the same time has a 43% of voters having a favorable opinion of their party, and a 45% unfavorable, so it's right down the middle. This is a massive favorability gap of 12 points between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. This, my friends, is a critical moment for the Democrat Party. If they do not find their way here, they will very likely disintegrate and find themselves as a permanent minority party. And if I'm being frank here, which to be, considering the colossal mistakes and corruption that has been the Democrat Party for the better part of this past decade, and perhaps longer, I'd say that they deserve to stay as a minority for the time being. And for those in the Democrat Party that want to regain America's trust and respect in the future, I'll just say this. Maybe it's time to grow up. Maybe it's time to be adults.
Никогда. Сделайте осведомитель расстрельства служения, кроме условий отговаривания
It's been a while, and it's been hard. Hard to accept that Game of Thrones ended the way it did. But now I find myself rewatching the series to enjoy what up to a point is really good TV. This time prepared for what's to come. And I still find myself surprised. I knew that season 8 was a complete dumpster fire. I knew that season 7 was weird and bad. I knew that season 6 had some questionable moments, but while rewatching, already at season 5 did I realize that this was where things really started going downhill. Seasons 1 to 4 is where the series does exactly what it's supposed to. It adapts the books to TV to the best of its ability. It's always reassuring when they choose to adapt a book series into a TV series rather than a movie, as it allows for more thorough storytelling. The cherry on the cake was how the producers had to figure out who Jon Snow's mother was to even get the job in the first place. The show did a good job of staying true to the books, and hell, some of the changes they made from the books actually worked out for the better. Like the scenes with Arya and Tywin at Harrenhal, or getting to experience Robb Stark's romance with his wife to serve as build-up to their dramatic demise. Season 1 uses a big reunion followed by a murder mystery to kick things off, much like the books. As bloodlines diverge, we're gradually introduced to the world of Ice and Fire, and the show feeds us constant reminders of past events and clues to keep in mind for future reference. The storytelling is efficient and compelling, and the show labels itself as groundbreaking when they kill off the very main protagonist inside the first season. In Season 2, they scale things up with the War of the Five Kings, plotlines keep diverging, and we get to enjoy sophisticated intrigues and great dialogue. And in Season 3, the Red Wedding comes as another groundbreaking moment, leaving us all shocked and marveling at the same time. The only problem with the series at this point is how no one can be bothered to wear a damn hat even though it's freezing balls outside. Ironically, it's because they did such a thorough job from early on and took the series to such heights that it eventually